Face Off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams. Ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face Off on Fox Soul starts right now.
Multiple agencies within the Trump administration are teaming to crack down on protests at college campuses and could withhold federal funding from schools that don't comply. President Donald Trump posted to social media, quote, "All federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protests. Agitators will be imprisoned or permanently sent back to the country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled or, depending on the crime, arrested. No masks." The post follows a release by the Department of Education, Department of Health and Human Services, and the General Services Administration, promising to end what they describe as anti-Semitic harassment on college campuses. The joint release singles out Columbia University, an Ivy League school that saw a series of pro-Palestinian protests for review of federal contracts and grants, citing Title IX of the Civil Rights Act. The review could see the school lose more than $51 million in federal funding. Trump signed an executive order.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
Well, Quanell, the Democrats and social media are melting down. Donald Trump has threatened free speech, and oh my God, the constitutional sky is falling. Now, I would say, well, you're talking about this tweet on, I don't know, do you call them tweets on Truth Social? I have no idea. But this post on Truth Social has got people riled up. I think some of it is well within the wheelhouse of the executive authority, but some of it isn't, right? You can't tell as the president, you can't tell private institutions you have to expel people. That is not within the purview of the power of the president. He couldn't even tell public institutions that are state institutions, that's a separate sovereign, that they have to expel people. Without passing a federal law, he can't say no masks, and that would be difficult. Although in some states right now, it is illegal to wear a mask out in public. Right? You know, he can't say we're going to deport people for protest. That all has to go through the federal system. There has to be laws. However, he makes a very good point, especially with Columbia and some other schools. We have seen Jewish students being terrorized by these kids that are celebrating October 7th and celebrating Hamas and celebrating Gazans, you know, chopping off kids' heads and throwing them in and doing all the horrible stuff that they did, right? Also protesting the IDF's bombing campaigns that have had some horrible results. But there is a very distinct line between protest and crime. And the media and the Democrats like to pretend, at least not the Democrats, more the progressives like to pretend that they're blurry, but they're not, right? You're not allowed to take over spaces. We saw the dean at Barnard College, which is the former women's college attached to Columbia, have to ask to go through protesters to go urinate in her own building. We have seen encampments set up. We have seen video after video of Jewish students being terrorized. And we're seeing this all over the Western world, right? We had some American students in Barcelona walk out of they had dinner at some sort of Jewish club, and they were attacked by supporters of Hamas, thrown water on just for going to have dinner. We have to be less tolerant of this widespread anti-Semitism, but we also have to be tolerant of protests. It is okay to hate Jewish people. It's okay to hate Hamas. It is okay to support the IDF. It's okay to be against it. It's okay to support Zelensky. It's okay to be anti-war. It's okay to have any of these positions and to vocally assert
not
those
according
positions.
to Donald Trump.
No. Trump is not saying protest is wrong. He's saying the crime,
He
the
says
takeovers,
no
the
protest.
threatening. Okay.
He called it illegal protest.
Well, he's referring to the illegal
No,
protest.
what he is saying is that protest period against anything dealing with Israel or dealing with perhaps his administration would be considered, in his eyes, an illegal protest.
I disagree.
When I read his tweet, I asked myself the question, I respect some of the things he's attempting to do in his administration. I can agree with a few things. I believe it's good for America. But this tweet makes him sound like we're in Russia. This tweet makes him sound like we're in China. How can we condemn China's human rights violations against freedom of speech, calling America's way of democracy, or condemn Russia for the same thing when this man is saying, we will put you in prison for an illegal protest? And what's illegal? Who determines what's legal and illegal now? America was established based on protest. Ben Franklin and the boys who decided that taxation without representation was tyranny, decided to protest in a manner that it was called illegal by Europe. But Charles, this man, what he's threatening to do will put him in jail, and you got to expel the students, and you got to kick them off the campus and deport them back to their homeland and their native countries. Charles, that's going too far. What would this same president have done to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? During the civil rights era, if Trump was president, what attitude would he have taken against those who were, quote unquote, doing sit-ins, which were illegal, those who were challenging drinking out of segregated water fountains or segregated bathrooms? They went ahead and drank out of them and went in the bathrooms. That's illegal. Would you have put those protesters also, Mr. Trump, in prison? This man sounds like a communist dictator in this tweet, more so than a man who's, quote unquote, the leader of the world's greatest democracy and nation of freedom.
Well, and you always look at it, much like the legacy media, in the lens that is most critical of Trump. It's like the talk about tariffs. If it was Obama or Biden talking about tariffs, they'd be saving the American worker. Trump talking about tariffs is the Satan is destroying the economy. And it's the same lens that you're using now. So you always love a history lesson. Well, let's talk about history, okay? When you talked about the protests in Boston that led ultimately to the Revolutionary
Boston Tea
War.
Party.
Well, you had a young lawyer named John Adams, right? And he was the only lawyer that stepped up to defend redcoats, right, which were British military that shot into a crowd of protesters. No one else wanted to help them. They were charged with murder. And in fact, he was vilified locally for stepping up and saying, hey, I will defend these people because I believe in our system of justice. And he absolutely established that there was a line here that was protest, but when they started attacking the soldiers, it ceased to be protest and became a crime, and they were authorized to do what they want. And despite a community that was built against and ready to convict, they were all found not guilty.
So during the civil rights movement, a lot of what they did in protesting was illegal.
Hold on.
It was against Southern state laws.
If you were, well, but those laws were being challenged, and
they were being challenged, quote unquote, by the system, according to the system, illegally.
And Dr. Martin Luther King actually fought for the permitting process and appealed it and did things the right way, as opposed to now where we see entire communities get set on fire and looted.
But Charles,
right?
just because something on the book is legally right, don't make it morally right.
Hold on. Well, we would listen to CNN and everybody lied to the world and say, hey, mostly peaceful protests. Entire communities were burning by it. African-American communities, African-American small businesses saw their businesses looted and destroyed, and nobody cared because they were holding a banner saying Black Lives Matter while they committed crime. Saying Black Lives Matter is protected speech. Saying Black Lives Matter and going into a store and stealing a flat screen TV,
that's a crime. And that's a crime that has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter.
Beating up
but we
Jewish
should not
kids,
associate or simulate crime with Black Lives Matter. It's polar opposites.
Terrorizing Jewish kids,
Charles,
because you support
if
the
you have
October
protesters,
7th nonsense,
if you have protesters who are
speech,
protesting the IDF's prosecution of that war and how they're doing it, that's to me a righteous protest.
Okay.
If
doesn't mean you can beat up kids.
But if you're supporting Hamas and what they did on October the 7th, that's an evil protest.
See, that's different. I don't care either way, as long as you're not beating up people.
Charles, because listen to me. We cannot tell people in America, the nation that has always upheld freedom of speech. This is the stuff that Donald Trump tweeted today is exactly what we would think coming from communist China, coming from Venezuela,
I absolutely disagree.
Coming from Russia. When he threatens to do this if you protest, I could understand if he said, look, you have a right to protest. If you break the law, you will be punished according to the law. But to make these threats, and then at the end he says this, no mask. What do you mean no mask?
Well, because kids are wearing masks to beat up other kids.
If it's not against state law to wear a mask in that state, how in the hell are you going to say no mask?
But see, the thing is you're mischaracterizing what he said, because he began, let's read what he said. He said, all federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protests. Illegal being the key
Who
word.
determines illegal?
Well, the law.
The school has a right to determine that.
Hold on.
The school and the states determine that, not Donald Trump.
No, it actually would be the Justice Department because you've got to look at Title
it's
IX.
the school and the states that determine that, not Donald Trump.
More importantly, what you said earlier is you said that support for argument of protesting against the idea of bombing campaigns you see as righteous, but protesting in support of Hamas, you see it as evil. I believe in a content-neutral examination. I don't care if it's black Israelites saying they hate white people, right? Or if it's Ku Klux Klan members saying they hate black people.
They have a right to say it.
Or if it's Jews saying they hate Muslims, or Muslims, which is more often, saying they hate Jews. I don't care.
So Charles,
anybody can, hold on, let me finish. Anybody can say anything, but as long as they're not saying it and beating up people, or saying
intimidating
it and
Jewish students, right?
Yeah, right.
So I say to you, Mr. Trump, what about these white boys who are going into black neighborhoods with Nazi flags, with masks on, in black neighborhoods on an overpass, intimidating black people in the black community? Why are you not putting them in jail? Why are you not threatening to deport them? Why are you not threatening to use the law to prosecute them? But if you intimidate a Jewish kid at a Jewish campus, they get special protection. But black folks who deal with these Nazis waving Nazi flags in our community, we don't get special protection. To hell with you and that double standard.
You want to explain the difference, right? Like the last time the Nazis,
they were
somewhere in Ohio and they were marching, right? They had a permit and they were legally allowed to march.
No, they did not.
Flag. Hold on.
They had no permit. The police admitted there was no permit. They got a phone call. They was on the overpass.
Okay. So, but their cars were destroyed by vandals, right? Who were mad at them.
No, one car was.
Okay, the vandals were
the criminals. A good vehicle destruction.
The vandals were
a righteous vehicle destruction.
Right?
What crime?
Okay, destroying the man's vehicle.
Them good Nazi racist skinheads should have got exactly what they got and much more.
That's what you want. You want an America.
Hell yeah. You got a legacy of killing black people, lynching black children, murdering whole black families as Nazis in our community. You have a legacy of being night riders. We were warned of sundown towns. Now you gonna come back in 2025 and do that same thing and expect that you don't pay with your life?
Okay, and let me explain. So what you were saying is you want to look at the content of speech and punish people based on the content. What I'm saying is, I don't care if it's people that hate white people or people that hate black people or people that hate anyone.
But that's what Trump said.
They're allowed to say, no, hold on, that's not what he said. I said, you're
allowed. He's talking about anti-Semitism.
Hold on. You're allowed to hate. You are not allowed to assault, attack, criminally
but why give this special prosecution privilege to those who are the victims of anti-Semitism and not black people who are suffering it every day at the hands of these Nazis in our community?
Because he's talking about colleges, and in colleges you can lie and
misrepresent
why
don't it encompass everything?
But it is
not just colleges, everything.
The problem today is Jewish kids being terrorized by pro-Hamas, and it's been
black
going on
folks
for almost 2 years.
Have been terrorized in America for hundreds of years.
But we're not seeing.
Where's these special protections for us?
We're not seeing a rash of African Americans being terrorized on university campuses.
They're not being reported.
No, you're lying.
Now, on campuses,
you're lying.
No, 1 second. On campuses, yes.
Okay, so.
But in this nation, it's happening often. Charles, let me tell you something,
man.
man.
Black people are being assaulted and victimized
in America often by racists.
Almost
by racists.
No, almost
often,
completely
often it's
by
the police.
Other black people.
Often it's the police that's doing it.
Oh, God.
But Charles, this man sounds like a communist dictator in this tweet, man. This doesn't sound like the America that's quote unquote the standard of democracy and freedom. Not like this, Charles.
We are watching shows of force across this country by people that support Islamist terror. We are watching takeovers. We're watching Times Square get taken over in an illegal manner for a Ramadan prayer, where if it was Christians, they would have gone in and arrested them.
Well, we watched the nation's capital on January 6th get taken over.
People sat in prison
by Trump supporters.
People sat in prison
and he let them all out of prison.
Well, he pardoned them.
He let them all out of prison. In fact, he pardoned the worst ones. He pardoned those who beat cops, kicked cops, spit on cops, put cops in hospitals. He pardoned all of them, not just the nonviolent ones. He pardoned every one of them.
They still got imprisoned, right? And what you want,
but he promised not to pardon the violent ones. He pardoned the violent ones. And one he pardoned got into a shootout with the police and got killed in a week.
But the thing is, when the Islamists do it, they don't get any trouble at all.
Well, it looks like when the Christians do it, it's whitewashed.
I'm not allowed to have braids, so today we're going to get the public's thoughts. Do you think I'm allowed to have braids?
Sure. You can wear your hair any way you want to wear your hair.
Exactly. No?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Do you think it's okay for me to wear braids?
I'm sorry?
Do you think it's okay for me to wear braids? Everyone's telling me I'm not allowed.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
Well, Charles, that was a white woman, a young white girl who was in the community. I'm sure she probably was in the hood, and she chose to stand in front of Popeye's Chickens and Biscuits. And she wanted to ask black women in the area, was it okay for her to wear braids? Because braids is traditionally an African-American female cultural hairstyle. And so the white woman was asking, do I have a right to wear this? Some black women said, yes, wear your however you want to. Some black women said, absolutely not. You should not to. You should not be allowed to. And I want to say this to black women. Leave that white woman alone. If that white woman wants to wear braids, let her wear braids. Because what's wrong with every woman trying to grab back at her roots? Every little girl dresses like her mother at some point. Every little girl styles her hair after her mother, wears makeup like she watches her mother wears, puts on clothing that she sees her mother wears. Well, this white woman wearing braids is the same thing when white women go get their skin tan because they want to get darker. It's the same thing when they get lip and Botox injections. They want them thick, nice, African, beautiful lips. When they go get BBLs, they want to have that black posterior, what the black woman has naturally. So a white woman wearing braids, let her do that because she's trying to gravitational go back to the very root of her existence. The very root of the white female's existence can be traced directly to the black woman who is the mother of all civilization. So black women, don't be angry with your children wanting to look like you. Don't be angry that Becky and Heather and Amber wants to get a lipstick like yours and lay in a tanning bed and darken her skin so damn dark she look like a damn Oreo cookie coming out. But guess what? She wants to naturally go back home. And black women, what if white women said to you, stop wearing other people's weave hair? Stop buying Hispanic and Brazilian hair. Stop buying Asian hair. Stop buying white women hair. You can't wear that kind of hair because it's naturally not yours. How would black women feel? It's all right, dear sisters. You are the queens of the planet and the mothers of all living things. Let her come home because naturally she wants to be back at her root. And what is her root? That beautiful African sister.
You know, when you began, I was like, oh, Quanell, he's got an enlightened view. He's just thinking people should be able to wear whatever hair they want. But then you pulled the old Quanell, threw some racial pejoratives, some Karens and Beckys, threw a little twist on it, and talked about how everyone has this, all the white women just want to be black. Which of course we know is not true, and it's just you being you. I think she's referring it to Viking braids because I think historically it was the Vikings that started braiding their hair like that. It's actually true.
You believe that white lie?
No, it's not a white lie.
Black women been braiding their hair in Africa for thousands of years.
Apparently the Vikings
Those
were
Neanderthals learned that from black women as they began to explore.
White people are Neanderthals,
Yeah,
right?
well, look, those Vikings were.
Hey, okay, then actually they weren't.
Them Neanderthals were, yes, they learned that from black folk how to braid that hair.
It's quite all right that you
I know you think Bo Derek was the first.
Okay.
I know you think Bo Derek had a. Kim Kardashian was the first one to wear braided hair like that among white women.
Kim K ever wore 'em. I do remember Bo Derek in Bolero. Was that when
Bolero.
Yeah, beautiful woman. I thought it was kind of tacky that this woman chose to film in front of a Popeyes. I think that smacks of racism. But it did make me think about how wonderful Popeyes was. You know,
they got the best chicken sandwiches.
They could.
Not that white Chick-fil-A.
No, I mean Chick-fil-A pretty good, but the biscuit and the spicy chicken. If y'all want to send some up to Fox Soul's offices, Popeyes, we wouldn't be mad at you.
You can send it up here, but send Chick-fil-A for him.
Right. Hey, I'll take both because I love both. But here we go. I don't think we've seen white people get attacked for wearing dreadlocks. We've seen white people. I've been called a culture vulture before because I wore a Johnny Dang gold chain that a local hip hop artist gave me as a thank you gift.
Johnny Dang ain't no black man.
Hold on. As a thank you gift for lawyering But you know, it's a big old goal.
But Johnny Dang ain't no black man.
Right, but it's.
But I will say that
worn.
Mr. Dang's diamonds and gold come from Africa.
Okay, but anyhow, I am often told, people have called me a culture vulture. I've had people attack my friends and clients for being friends with or hiring a white lawyer. I think we all need to get over all that crap, right?
Well,
I think people should be allowed to dress
however they want. You brought up a hell of a point. For many years, Charles, this is the truth. For many years, and speak to your black clients and their families, they will tell you this. For many years, when a black man got in trouble, they were told, you get you a white lawyer. You don't want to take a black lawyer in the courtroom with white people. Get you a white lawyer. And I'm going to tell you something. There was many white lawyers who told black clients that. It's the truth.
Well, I think that's tacky, but I think we have a turn now. What was it? Teslin Figaro went on Instagram and attacked my clients and my friends for using me as their lawyer because of my white skin. So yes, that was probably true
and that
years
person,
ago.
And that person was wrong.
Right,
that
well,
person
that's what
was
I'm
wrong.
saying. I think nobody should be making any decisions
because you're a damn good lawyer.
Well, thank you.
And the problem is what they don't know, many of them black folks got off and didn't go to prison because of you.
Well,
and that had not a damn thing to do with your color. It's about your ability.
At some point, though, shouldn't we all stop making decisions based on people's skin color? Like, I strive very hard to judge people based on their actions and their character and not at all based on their race. Shouldn't we all be doing that?
But think about it. You got all this DEI talk now.
Okay.
And they making DEI look like it's about really black people. When you look at DEI benefactors and benefits, black people at the bottom. In fact, they rank fifth. At the very top is white females. White females at the very top, not black people. Okay. And Arabs and Hispanics, they go before us too in DEI promotions and contracts,
etc. Shouldn't we do away with all of that? All of it?
After you pay us reparations.
Oh.
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.